Good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and one of the questions which I have gotten so many times on my video where I posted about how I got hired as a software engineer is how, and what suggestions do I have for people who are trying to go and get a software engineering job in this really, really tough market? So I don't know if I'm actually qualified to give suggestions because, on one aspect, I kind of feel like it was just luck. But after doing a little bit of reflecting, I did think of some ideas for things which I think increased my probability of actually getting the position, actually having the company willing to give me an internship to just try me out, right? And that was that my resume was very specific. So at the first iteration of my resume, right when I graduated from college, it was very general, very all over the place. So I had electrical, my full degree was a bachelor's of science in electrical and computer engineering with a minor in computer science. So I had that entire thing. I had electrical engineering projects, I had computer engineering projects, I had software engineering projects, I had machine learning things, and you look at it, and I was just trying to put as much stuff on it as possible. But when you see it, it's like, well, first question is what actually differentiates me from the 10,000 other computer science graduates? And if they're looking for a software engineering position, which is what I was applying to, I went on LinkedIn and all of these different websites and I just searched software engineering, software development, anything with like engineering in the title. And so, from their perspective, if they're looking at it, they're going to see me and, okay, an electrical engineer, well, why don't I just get a computer science major? Right? From their perspective, I'm kind of like a low quality computer science student. So why would they hire me? And even if I was pure computer science, well, my resume didn't even differentiate me from any of the other people. So then I started to kind of craft it, and I made many, many, many iterations over my job search. The second iteration was a little bit more targeted. It was okay, well, I'm not going to focus on the electrical engineering portion. I'm going to be more focused on just software. So I took all the electrical stuff off of my resume and tried to focus more on the actual software side of things. So that was better, but I think that the aspect that really did help me was the third iteration, which I just focused on one thing: embedded systems. I asked myself, okay, well, what position do I think I would actually be qualified for? What did my major prepare me for? And like in the job market, okay, which position am I seeing on LinkedIn, on ZipRecruiter, on all of these different websites? Which positions am I seeing that I think I actually could see myself fitting in? Okay, well, seems like embedded systems is the closest because I've done a fair amount of that and my major kind of does kind of fit in with it, right? It's electrical and computer science. It's kind of the intersection between it. So that's why I changed my method. I wasn't just applying for software engineering anymore. I was very targeted in what I was trying to apply for. So I changed my resume and I had all of the like embedded systems, and here's a project I did with assembly code, and here's a microcontroller project, here's Arduino, and I changed my capstone. I made it much more specific to the microcontroller sections that I participated in. So I changed my resume, I got it much more targeted towards the actual position that I want. So that was kind of the shift which I did. So it's kind of an inversion. At the beginning, it was I would just go and put all everything that I thought, every skill that I could imagine, right? And tried to put that on my resume and then send it out to as many places as possible, hoping that someone would give me a chance. And it didn't work. No one gave me a chance. No one gave me the time of day. But then I started inverting it. Instead of me trying to say, "Hey, here's here's all this. Can you fit me in somewhere?" It was, "No, no, no. Okay, well, here's the position. And now I try to fit myself into the position." So I would, okay, well, here's the position, embedded systems. Now let me tailor my resume. Every skill that I learned, even if it wasn't necessarily embedded systems, but it could be used for embedded systems. Okay, well, let me try to take on my resume and show how this connects to embedded systems. Okay, and another example is like, for example, if you are really into robotics, right? That's kind of what you specialized in. Well, you can, maybe there's not a lot of jobs specifically for robotics, right? So if you put everything about robotics on your resume, maybe you don't get much, but automation, you look on LinkedIn and you see robotics, there's maybe a few jobs, but then you see automation engineering is extremely large, right? And I don't know these numbers, this is just an example. Okay, well, the skills between robotics and automation are the exact or are the exact same. Okay, so just have your resume for the automation and take all of the robotics projects and show how it applies to the automation. So that would be my suggestion is try to invert it, try to look at the specific job that you want. Don't make it software engineer or something like this. And then I had so many random things. And I think what happened was it was kind of just luck. I got my resume into the hands of the hiring manager at the company that I'm working at now, and he saw that I had a degree in electrical and computer engineering, but I focused on software and computer engineering with embedded systems, right? He saw that, okay, now who was this? It is the hardware, it's the hardware department, and they needed someone who does software and specifically software for the embedded systems which they're working on. So they're the hardware department. They don't have anyone doing software. They need a position to do embedded systems and other random software tasks. Okay, so see what I mean? Like they look at this and they say, I understand how you can fit into here. In the hardware department, you have an electrical engineering degree. But it's not just electrical. Your focus is computer science, is software development, is embedded systems. That's exactly what we need. And I think that's why they were willing to kind of go out on a limb, extend a internship opportunity to me and try to see like, okay, well, am I a reasonable person, and just test the waters kind of. And then once I was at my internship, I was able to thankfully take that internship, turn it into a full-time position. So that's kind of how I was able to move into the software engineering uh, job market, even in this really tough time. It was kind of luck insofar as, yes, I it was kind of a lucky thing that, okay, well, how would I know exactly what he was looking for? I couldn't, right? But my resume was very specific and it did differentiate me from the tens of thousands of other people getting an electrical engineering degree or the hundreds of thousands of people getting a computer science degree, right? Um so that would be my suggestion. Just try to really target your resume. Try to think about the specific job you want and show how you can get into it. Because I wasted maybe about 4.5 or 5 months doing the opposite. I was putting everything on my resume, and it was just, you look at it and you don't even know, like, okay, well, where am I even going to fit this person? Who knows, right? Who knows where, how can this person fit into the company? I don't know. And his resume looks identical to the 10,000 other people who applied to this same position. So that would be my suggestion. I think I wasted a lot of time on applying to just very random jobs. Anything that said software, anything that said electrical, anything that said, if I could even think of kind of what I might be able to be in, I would just apply to it, and my resume kind of fit that as just very random. So try to target it, try to get it into the hands, because if you have a targeted resume, you send it out to a whole bunch of people, eventually I think it should land into the hands of someone who's like, "Hey, this is actually exactly what we need. Let's see if it can work. Let's try to give them a chance." And I mean, that would be my suggestion. Again, don't take it as like gospel or something like that, because what the heck do I know, right? Like, I'm literally 2 month or a month and 10 days or 4 months into internship, and then now a month and 10 days into being a software engineer. So I don't know much of what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to reflect on kind of my experiences while I was doing the application process, and thinking about like what was beneficial, what helped. Another thing that I can give a suggestion on is kind of showing a lot of passion for whatever the company does. One company that I was applying to, unfortunately, I didn't actually get the position, but it was Garmin, which makes airplane like devices. Like, they make GPSs, but the specific location which I was applying to made devices for airplanes. I love airplanes, so I was able to just talk kind of with the managers, like, hey, what are you guys' products? How does it work? How does it, right? And I was very interested in it because I actually did really have a passion for it. And I was able to get through the first interview, then the second interview, then I got a third interview, right? And unfortunately, I didn't get the actual offer extended, but I think I got significantly further in the application process because I had that kind of passion, and I really enjoyed their product, and I really liked the company. So that would be my other suggestion, is once you actually get kind of like an interview, like, learn about the company, try to figure out what they do, and then if you have a passion for it, like, let them know that, right? Like, when I was doing the interview with Garmin, I initially didn't tell them about how much I liked airplanes and how cool I thought that they were, and kind of, I didn't really mention much about that. But then after the interview, I sent a follow up email to the person who I had the phone interview with, and talking about how I really liked their company and how I had a passion for airplanes. And then I got the second interview, which was a video interview. And in the video interview, okay, well, then I started talking to the manager, and I was saying, yeah, I love airplanes. And I gave the story. I said, like, I remember my dad took me out to the air shows, and I just love watching the jets go over. I thought that that was so cool. And so that's kind of where I started, and then started continuing to talk about how my dad, he was a farmer, and when he was young. And so he got a pilot's license because he was doing crop dusting. So when he was 16, he got a pilot's license for crop dusting, and he had that passion. Unfortunately, after he graduated, he kind of lost it. But then a few years ago, he regained that. He ended up getting an airplane. um, so he now got his pilot's license again. He did all that, and so I started talking about that, and then I got the third interview because I showed that I had a passion for airplanes and that I really liked them, and so the company could kind of see like, okay, well, let's give him a chance, right? So those would be my two suggestions. Uh, yeah, and I know the market is definitely difficult right now. Like as I was saying, it I applied to over 1,000 companies. It took me 6 months from the time I started like really applying to the time that I actually got an internship. And it's like, yeah, it's difficult. Just my suggestion would be those two things and then keep going, keep pushing. And while you're applying, try to, because here, when I first started, right when I graduated, I had no idea what the market wanted, and I had no idea what skills were actually in demand. Try to be very strategic in it. Once you're looking at LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, yeah, LinkedIn has it as well in the job section, but LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, all of these. Once you find the targeted job that you want, they're going to list all of those skills that they want. Okay, cool. Try to take notes on each of those skills that you see. Like, just make a little note, like bullet points, right? Like this skill, that skill, that skill. And if you keep seeing a skill over and over and over and over, learn it, right? Like, you have plenty of time. You're applying to a whole bunch of companies, and okay, take 3, 4 hours per day, try to learn that specific skill. That's what I was doing. I was taking a whole bunch of notes on every skill that I would repeatedly see, and then I would use my free time to kind of try to learn that and understand it more and be able to answer questions about it. Maybe if I had a chance, I could do a project to kind of build my skills and demonstrate my skills. So that's the other thing. Once you actually find the specific niche jobs that you're looking for, okay, well, now they tell you what skills they want you to have. Take notes on it, figure out which ones are the most valuable, which ones are reoccurring, learn them, and then try to put that on your resume. So I hope this video helped. Again, I don't know if I'm really qualified to talk about it, but because so many people were asking for this, I wanted to do this video kind of to uh, 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 like I don't know if I can actually help, but I'm hoping that I can help. I hope my suggestions kind of can either inspire you or kind of maybe, oh, I didn't think about this, I'm going to do that, or help you to be a little bit more strategic, because I definitely was not strategic when I started. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to learn this kind of like, okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I'll be and changing up my strategy and stuff like that. I talked with a whole bunch of my friends. I was like, "Hey, I'm having so much difficulty," and they would give me suggestions. I would take some suggestions, leave some suggestions. So hopefully this video kind of gives you a little bit of suggestions so that you can also figure out what works for you and be very strategic in your application process. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful day.